106-pound classification, light flyweights. And in this bout, Jose Rosario of the United States out of Jersey City, New Jersey, and Juan Torres from Cuba.
USA Amateur Boxing Federation showdown between the United States of America and the great team from Cuba. Again, reminding you, three-minute rounds, tournament bouts. There can be no draws. The 5 judges, and they will decide the bout. The referee will only conduct the bout. And introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, representing Cuba out of Havana in the 106-pound light flyweight class, on my right, it's Juan Torres. And in the moment on my left, representing the United States out of Jersey City, Jose Rosario.
Rosario, 5'6", 106 pounds. Interestingly enough, he was born in Puerto Rico and, of course, now lives in Jersey City, New Jersey. And his opponent, Juan Torres, 106 pounds, light flyweight division. Now, what do you know about young Jose Rosario?
Well, Rosario has a score to settle. He is 0-3 in dual meet competitions with the Cubans, so he would very much like to beat Torres tonight and turn that around.
International rules. The protective headgear is worn by both fighters, and a good combination put together by Rosario.
Rosario is the North American champion, won that in 1983, and he's a fighter who, like all the fighters we'll be seeing tonight, has his eye on the Olympic berth for 1984.
He is participating in Operation Gold, and that's a program that's been put together to work with the young fighters in the United States, gearing them towards the Olympics. The future for a young man in this particular weight classification, Alan, and I'm sure all the youngsters thinking somewhere down the road about a pro career. The United States in that weight classification not really represented that well.
It's very tough to, because I think most of them are thinking of getting into bigger weight categories for the possible professional career. And that's the big difference as we go down the road in this competition. We'll see Cubans at the age of 26 and 27 in this competition who would otherwise be professionals if they fought in the United States.
So the international fighters, and Cuba in particular, with sometimes an advantage in the age situation. And most of the American youngsters just getting into this particular brand of competition in the last couple of years. And Torres with a good shot to Rosario, good right hand.
Rosario is lunging with his punches. That's part of the reason why he was hit with that right hand. He's lunging in with his right hand especially, and Torres is coming over the top with his own right.
Juan Torres of Cuba in the red trunks, and Jose Rosario, the United States, white trunks and the blue top.
He's going to have to do something to get away from the straight right hand of Rosario as they battle on the inside. The referee very late, I think, coming in to break the two.
Torres wanted to get away from that. He didn't want to be tied up at all. You can tell Torres with a little bit more upper body strength, a little bit bigger upstairs. But I'll tell you one thing about Rosario, he comes straight at you. He's been able to slip that left jab in on several occasions. Less than 30 seconds to go, and this is the first round. We're at the Lawler Special Events Center in Reno, Nevada, for this USA-Cuba amateur boxing dual meet as we wind our way down to Los Angeles in the '84 Summer Olympics. Good exchange on the inside by these two fighters. 106 pounds, light flyweight classification, and we'll continue on ESPN after this.
this. What's with the phone booth?
Oh, we're just proving a point.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Well, the fact is the Toshiba BD3301 is so small you can fit 26 in an ordinary phone booth. But it's so sophisticated. Advanced fiber optics, a fast 12 copies a minute.
Edge-to-edge copies, Joe?
Nice set of prints, ma'am.
That's Toshiba, Joe. Quality in, quality out.
Frank, maybe you better call this in.
Can't, Joe.
Why not?
Phone booth full of Toshiba copiers.
At many stores, the person who sells rock albums also sells hardware. But at Century Hardware, the person who sells hardware sells hardware. Like Quickset Door Set 2, $13.99. Distant cordless grass shears, $27.77. And Master Lock Twin Packs, $5.99. So who would you rather buy from? Someone who knows hardware or someone who knows rock and roll? Century, where hardware isn't a sideline.
Twibel, Al Bernstein back with you. Second round between Jose Rosario of the United States and Juan Torres of Cuba. Rosario with the white trunks, 20 years of age, a graduate of Ferris High School in Jersey City, New Jersey. And once again, the official stepping in. And the rules in international boxing, Al, quite a bit different than what we're used to seeing in the club level, professional level here in the United States.
For one thing, the scoring is done on a 20-point must system where the winner of the round gets 20 and the loser 19 or less. And unlike the pros, even without a knockdown, you might see someone lose around 20-18 or even 20-17. So the difference in the scoring can be dramatic. There are 5 judges scoring at ringside, another difference. And as people I'm sure know by now, if they're boxing fans, the portion of the glove which has the white covering, if you hit with that part of the glove, the punch will count.
Boy, Rosario doing a fine job on the infighting. He just sticks his head in there, and he has got the best of this exchange right now with his opponent, Juan Torres of Cuba.
They are both muscling on the inside.
Good right-left combination there by Rosario.
So far, it's been Rosario doing the bulk of the damage.
And he was able to slip a punch right there. Torres did get in the left hand. Is this unusual for this weight division just to stand toe-to-toe and go at it like this? I was looking maybe for a little more movement.
Very much so. In the first round, we did see that movement. Rosario has come up with an excellent left hook, and there was a straight right hand punch that Torres used in the first round.
Crowd picking it up in Reno, Nevada, as the American Rosario is getting the best so far of this second round, halfway through, and a good left. And it appears as though Torres is a little bit tired right now.
Rosario has found that he can fight Torres much better on the inside. Off his chest, he's much more effective. On the outside, he was lunging, getting hit with counterpunches.
I mentioned in the first round that it appeared as though Torres was the stronger of the two, but in the second round, both with good right hands just there, that Rosario showing that he has some good strength. They have their heads together, and they're doing some work on the inside.
Very little body work in this fight. Neither fighter really going downstairs much, but they've been able to land to the head often.
I guess in the lighter divisions, maybe you would expect to see a little more body work, and you don't. Torres is sucking air right now. And Rosario comes right back at him, throwing a lot of punches. Good right hand by Rosario.
This fight changed tactically in this round when Rosario went inside with Torres. It has been a much different fight than it was in the first round.
Left hand by Torres slipped in. And a left hand by Rosario, who comes back. He's throwing about 5 punches to 1 right now.
Excellent combination there with that left hook doing a lot of damage.
Impressive second round for Jose Rosario of the United States.
Give me a light. A Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
And I'll have a light. A Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. because everything else is just alike.
Thursday, Top Rank Boxing unleashes some high-powered junior lightweight lightning. Jimmy Jackson and Tommy Cordova are set to shake up the showboat with 10 rounds of power-punching pandemonium. Separate the contenders from the pretenders on live Top Rank Boxing, Thursday on ESPN.
Find out if Luis Santana can rock Reggie Miller tomorrow when the two welterweights wage war live. It's Top Rank Boxing tomorrow on ESPN.
The hand speed of Jose Rosario evident here as you see him put together a good combination against Torres on the inside, and that's where he's now doing well in this fight.
He had an outstanding second round. Rosario has been boxing for 8 years. He is 20 years of age. And Al, I guess that it's one thing in amateur boxing in a country like Cuba, that's all you're surrounded with is amateurs and those particular rules. But in the United States, you might get in the gym with a professional, as Rosario is really opening up on Torres at the start of the third round. And they're going to give him a standing 8 count. The thing I was mentioning, though, you have to be concerned about maybe boxing people that don't go by the amateur rules. You could develop some bad habits in training.
Well, that's for sure. And in this case, right now, Torres in all kinds of trouble. There it goes.
Rosario took it right to him at the start of this third round, coming off a very good second round. But Torres has got a hurt look on his face, and Rosario knocks him down again.
And it looks like that will be all. Rosario in this third round as he did in the second.
What is that?
A little showmanship, folks. Why not? Jose Rosario going inside and doing extremely well in the last 2 rounds. And that was the key, I think, when he got inside.
Very impressive job in the 106-pound light flyweight category. Jose Rosario of the United States, Jersey City, New Jersey, a winner, stopping Juan Torres 27 seconds of the third round.
The Wall Street Journal is written for busy people. Doesn't waste your time with what you don't want to know. Make sure that you don't miss anything you have to know. Accurate, to the point, complete. The Wall Street Journal. It's all here.
Get all the business news you need when you need it. Get the Wall Street Journal delivered for 6 months for $53. Phone toll-free 800-372-3000. That's 6 months, $53. Delivered every business day. Phone 800-372-3000. Subscribe now.
You're on a fast track Thursday on ESPN. Speed Week surveys all the latest from the racing circuit. We'll set the pace for every race. Then relive 30 years of pro football glory. The NFL's greatest moments, looks of the best ever teams that forged our gridiron legends. Then live Top Rank Boxing answers the bell. Welterweights Luis Santana and Reggie Miller go toe-to-toe for Sam Rosen's blow-by-blow. It's all here Thursday on ESPN.
Roger Twibel, Al Bernstein with you. This is the USA against Cuba amateur boxing. We're set for the 112-pound classification. Those are the flyweights.
Ladies and
here's Jimmy
gentlemen,
Lennon.
the second event this evening, United States versus Cuba. In the flyweight division 112-pound class, introducing to you, representing Kronk Boxing Stable of Detroit, Michigan, Steve McCrory. His opponent, representing Cuba out of Havana, Pedro Reyes.
Steve McCrory from Detroit and Pedro Reyes of Cuba, 112 pounds flyweight.
Rodriguez de Venezuela.
De Venezuela is the referee. An international group, obviously, for this USA-Cuba competition. And if we are to believe statistics, at 5'5" is McCrory, and some of our notes have 4'9" for Pedro Reyes, but they look almost even in height. As a matter of fact, Reyes looks like he could be 5'9" instead of 4'9".
A typo somewhere, perhaps. Reyes obviously a little bit taller than McCrory. McCrory, the brother of Milton McCrory, the WBC welterweight champion in the professional ranks. And McCrory has quite a string going. He is 6-0 in dual meet competitions on the international level, so he'd like to keep that string going.
Reyes with his back to you right now. Both fighters with the white trunks. McCrory with the red sash around the middle of of the United States, 112-pound flyweight competition. Reyes is a teacher in Havana, and he comes in with a couple of good body shots right there. There's a good straight left hand. He has McCrory in the corner.
Early in this fight, Roger, is a caution giving to Reyes. I think that McCrory, a little bit confused with the southpaw style of Reyes, the height and reach advantage for Reyes, is giving Steve a lot of problems right now.
Reyes is 25 years of age, a good right hand by Reyes. And that was definitely a typo on our notes because he is taller than McCrory, and he has a pretty good upper body on him. So we're better than halfway through the first round. He throws that looping left. It's kind of a semi-uppercut hook, isn't it, Al?
Yeah, and that's the punch that McCrory would like to counter with his own straight right. So far, he's not doing it, but it's something I think he'll need to do in this fight if he's going to be effective.
And a double up with the left by Reyes, and he's able to land to the midsection and to the head. And McCrory looks a little tentative in the corner. Reyes would like to get McCrory in that corner if he can. When he had him earlier in the round, he was able to land 4 or 5 very effective punches. There is a look on the face of McCrory that says, I don't know if I believe who I'm in here with right now.
Well, they've never fought, these two fighters. Reyes has fought, he's 1-0 against the United States in dual meet competition. He fought Michael Collins and beat him in 1983. But these two fighters are unknown quantities to each other, and so far McCrory is finding out that Reyes is a tough fighter. Reyes with the age advantage. He's 25, McCrory just 20 years of age. And of course, Emmanuel Stewart in the corner of McCrory out of the Kronk stable in Detroit, Michigan. They've turned out a number of outstanding fighters through the years. Coming to the conclusion of the first round of this 112-pound classification flyweight bout from Reno, Nevada.
Suzuki Knockout Savings Sale, you'll see some of our fastest Suzukis move even faster. But hurry, they're already vanishing into thin air.
Monday, ESPN motors into Moscow for an amateur boxing slugfest. The best and brightest Olympic hopefuls from the USA and Russia are ready to rumble in the ring. Find out who takes it on the chin when these arch rivals clash. Nemesis in search of a knockout when the USA meets Russia Monday.
Roger Twibell, Al Bernstein with you, and that is the corner of Stephen McCrory of the United States out of Detroit, Michigan, and Emmanuel Stewart, one of the trainers from the Kronk gym. Pedro Reyes, his competition from Cuba, and now these two fighters will meet again on April the 13th in the World Championship Challenge.
It's an interesting matchup. They've gotten champions from all around the world to come together and fight, some of the best in each weight division. And indeed, McCrory and Reyes have been chosen for that competition. And this will give us a good idea of what may happen on April 13th. But right now,
Reyes with a solid left hand, a couple of solid left hands. And look at McCrory making a face at him. McCrory came out at the beginning of the round and landed a couple of effective punches. That got Reyes' attention in a hurry. And the left-hander has come back now to counter that with some effective work of his own as McCrory lands again with the left.
McCrory is leaning in with the right hand, trying to get that right hand home against the southpaw, and it's not getting there, and he is leaving himself wide open for counter shots.
You can see Reyes, more or less a slapping right hand. He is a left-hander. That is his punch.
That McCrory is on his left foot is on the inside of the right foot of Reyes. It is not where you want to be against the southpaw. You can see you saw it in that sequence rather effectively. You want to be on the outside of that right foot of the southpaw where you can hook to the body or land the lead right.
Footwork is so important in fighting. That's a good point, Al, because so many people watch it and all they look at is the hands, the head movement. You don't see the foot movement.
Where it all starts, and especially when you have a right-hander fighting a southpaw. It's just a fundamental thing that you've got to make work for you.
McCrory slipped in a right, and Reyes comes back with a strong left, knocked him against the ropes. You know, so often we hear why left-handers are so tough for right-handers. Are right-handers tough for left-handers ever?
I think no, because they face so many. But we have seen from time to time on our pro boxing show, two southpaws face each other and they get all confused.
McCrory down to the floor, but that's just a slip. McCrory has been more aggressive in the second round. He seemed rather lackadaisical in the first round. And when you have just 3 rounds, you can't be lackadaisical at all.
That's one of the key differences between this and the professional fights we do. You've got to get your job done in those 3 rounds. And even one round that you take off can be disastrous.
McCrory with a pretty good left hand right there. Once again, his brother is Milton McCrory, and this young man of 20 years of age has been boxing for 10 years. So even though he is young, he's been around this fight game for some time. Reyes is 25 years of age, a teacher in Havana, Cuba. Now a warning. They can take away some points out.
They are indeed. It looks like. Well, they're fixing the. I think some of the equipment for Reyes. They want someone to come up, I think, and deal with his headgear.
They stopped the clock 16 seconds left to go in this the second round.
Some blood from the nose of Reyes. And here's the key difference between professional fighting. They would never stop a fight for a nosebleed and take a fighter over. In this case, they do that.
And Reyes, McCrory mixing it up on the ropes as we come down to the end of round 2. Reyes looks determined.
Watch, win, watch.
Then win.
Watch and win, 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 watch and win.
There is Pedro Reyes of Cuba in his corner as we get set for round 3. And I think, Al, you made a good point. We were talking about McCrory being a little bit lackadaisical, and you said that's a big difference between the amateur 3 rounds and professional. And once again, that goes back maybe to training. You train with professional fighters. You watch a lot of professional fighters, and you see that they start a little bit slowly, and then they turn it on. And possibly that was McCrory's problem in the opening round.
McCrory is landing a couple good left hooks and some right hands. The left hook, he's not noted as a left hooker, but he's landing that punch now.
He's exchanging punches right now with Reyes, and the mouthpiece slips out of the mouth of the Cuban fighter, Pedro Reyes. And once again, they'll bring it back to the corner, stop it, wash it out.
McCrory off to a big start here in this round, and in a way, this is a break for Reyes because McCrory had some momentum going.
The second round, he came out and really was very aggressive in the opening moments, and Reyes was able to counter it.
McCrory is effective when he's on the inside trading punches with Reyes. Much the same case as Jose Rosario in the light flyweight fight, in which he was effective on the inside, but couldn't do well at long range.
During the 3-round bout, there is really no room for being lackadaisical, no room for showmanship. You just have to go in and in 3-minute rounds get your business done and be very effective about it in international boxing.
You talked about professionals and amateurs training. In Detroit, the mix has been effectively made by Emmanuel Stewart, where, of course, he's got champions like McCrory, Thomas Hearns, and a number of other fine professional fighters, and he's got amateurs in there. It's, after all, run by the city, the Crocs program, and they all train together.
Good left hand there by McCrory. These 2 fighters have a common opponent. Last year in the USA-Cuba dual meet, Reyes stopped Michael Collins, and McCrory has defeated Michael Collins in his amateur boxing career.
And Collins will be one of the chief rivals for McCrory to make the Olympic team, the United States Olympic team in '84, and of course those Olympic trials later on this year, what all of these fighters, the American fighters, are pointing for.
There are more than Stephen McCrory in the 112-pound division. There are, as Al mentioned, Michael Collins, several other fighters in all those weight classifications vying for that prestigious spot. Reyes has done this fight with his left hand. He has had a big left.
Time is running out, I think, on Steve McCrory. He needs to get inside, I think, where he's done his best work.
Reyes is showing a lot of movement in this, the 3rd and final round. He knows that he's ahead, and he doesn't really have to get inside and mix it up. He can stay away and land the jab.
And I want to give us points for never once saying Milt McCrory instead of Steve McCrory in this fight.
We give ourselves a pat on the back every so often. Good left hand right there by Pedro Reyes. And another left hand. 10 seconds left to go in this fight. Flyweights, 112-pounders, Pedro Reyes of Cuba and Stephen McCrory of Detroit.
It's time.
Cuba, Steve McCrory of Detroit, Michigan in the United States. And Al, any comment from you as to how you feel this thing's going to go?
I think Reyes pretty well dominated. I'd be shocked if McCrory got the decision. We'll see.
All right, let's go to the ring now for the official decision.
Class, Pedro Reyes of Cuba.
So Reyes of Cuba defeats Steve McCrory. Once again, these two fighters will meet on April the 13th. So McCrory will have a chance to get back and even things up in the World Championship Challenge competition. USA and Cuba after 2 matches, tied up at 1 apiece. And we'll be back to Reno, Nevada after this.
If you're facing any major experiment,
they are not so erect and giving you a little bit more flair.
Yeah, I think that almost became a cliche. You know, the stereotype of the Cuban fighters as very erect and mechanical, and much like the European style. I think they have changed a lot.
Good countering right hand by Benavidez.
Benavidez is a good body puncher, and when he works his way inside, if he can against Ladon, he'll try and do that. Good straight left by Benavidez.
This is the 3rd bout. USA and Cuba tied up at 1.
Benavidez, I mentioned his experience. He is 7-1 in international dual meet competitions, so that's an outstanding record. It shows you that he has been in with many, many fighters from different countries.
Benavidez tried to come under with the uppercut and a good countering job by Ladon, who comes up with a straight left.
To show you what a good fighter Benavidez is, when he was just 17 years old in 1980, he lost in the Olympic trials to Tommy Ayers. And Tommy, now an excellent professional, a fighter that many people believe will challenge for a pro title in the next couple of years.
Ladon, a good left hand, and knocks Benavidez down.
Called slip, apparently.
Looked like a pretty good left.
I thought maybe that left at least knocked him off balance to send him down.
Ladon, very confident of himself. I guess what you'd say ring savvy. He just looks good in the boxing ring now.
And he just lands a good straight left hand to the head of Benavidez. Making good use of his height and reach advantage is Ladon.
Ring management, whatever you will call it, he seems to be a very natural athlete with the gloves on in the boxing ring. Good left hand by Ladon. Coming down to the end of round 1, and Ladon has gotten the best of this first round. The clock was stopped momentarily. We'll be back to Reno, Nevada after this.
Most tennis camps for adults are just vacations. You just happen to play
Ladon of Cuba and Jesse Benavidez of Corpus Christi, Texas. And now I think Ladon had the first round his way.
He did indeed. A much tougher fight for Benavidez than I think some people felt he might improve and do a little better against Ladon, and the opposite has been the case. And Benavidez is a very top fighter to the United States and a very likely representative for the Olympics. He's got some other people like Floyd Favors to beat in the Olympic trials, but he's someone who could be there representing the United States.
Floyd Favors, Jesse Flores of San Antonio, and Ronnie Rentz from Albuquerque, some of the other 119-pounders. Benavidez is coached by Bobby Garza. You know what he does when he's not boxing? He's a bouncer. All 5'4", 118 pounds of him.
I don't know if I'd want to tango with him. He's having a hard time getting inside on Ladon. I think what we're seeing in Ladon here is a young Cuban who will take his place in the next 3 or 4 years as one of the best on their team.
Just 19 years of age, has only been boxing 3 years. He's a student. And he has Benavidez bewildered, although Benavidez did get in a good right hand there. But here comes Ladon right back with a straight left. Overhand left by Benavidez connects. Benavidez looks tired. Good left hand by Ladon.
Jesse has taken a lot of punishment in this fight, much more than he is accustomed to taking.
And he has slowed considerably, and his punches are not very effective at this time. Left hand got in by Ladon.
Ladon, perhaps a name to remember as we head into this Olympic year.
And a catchy name at that, isn't it?
Ramon Ladon. Got some onomatopoeia to it.
Look at the shoulders of that young man. He's got room to put on some weight and maybe move up a couple of weight.
I'm sure he will in the next couple of years.
19 years of age, Ramon Ladon, 21 years of age, Jesse Benavidez of Corpus Christi, Texas, and a warning by the official.
Jesse's lunging a lot coming in now. They leave him open for a counterpunch.
A tired fighter lunges a lot, don't they all?
That's one of the telltale signs.
Body combination that time, and Benavidez is down. Now, I couldn't detect if that was a low blow or not, but it was definitely a combination to the body.
Very hard to see, and whatever the case, Jesse Benavidez not getting up. So if that's ruled a legal blow, which apparently it has been, Benavidez is the loser.
Can a good body shot do that to you? Can a powerful body shot really knock you down like that?
Yes, indeed.
So that you can't get back up?
It can, and that one was delivered very well by Ladon, and we'll get a chance to look at it here, and we'll get to see just how powerful it was. Oh, yeah. Both those shots quite legal, and the right hand especially doing the big damage.
The left was up in the chest area, and the right down in the solar plexus, and those were very clean, very powerful body shots. And I'll tell you what, Benavidez is still feeling that combination.
Crowd booing a little bit, but as we could see, those were legal punches.
Not often do you see a young fighter like that put together a body combination and knock a fighter down, but Ramon Ladon of Cuba has won a second-round KO over Jesse Benavidez of Corpus Christi, Texas. Horta, 27 years of age, and Meldrick Taylor, just 19, so a real age discrepancy here, Al.
Indeed, and Horta, one of the grand old men, if you will, at the age of 26 of the Cuban team. He is 6-1 versus the USA in dual competitions. He's been fighting for a long time, and he's been around a long time on that team, and an excellent fighter.
In the 83 USA-Cuba meet, he stopped Dino Ramirez of the United States in 1. There's a good look at Meldrick Taylor out of Philadelphia, and he fights out of the Smokin' Joe Frazier gym.
In his first dual meet of an international nature. So right now, probably going through his mind are some thoughts about just where he's at.
Well, he is at the Lawler Special Events Center in Reno, Nevada. And this is the 4th bout in the USA-Cuba dual meet. The Cubans with a 2-1 lead right now over the United States. Al, when a team from Cuba comes into our country, this is a big event for them because they're priming themselves, obviously, for the Olympic Games, but this is what these young men do, you know, for a living. They might have occupations as teachers and students and whatever, but I mean, this is what they do. Whereas, on the other hand, we're in a different situation.
Well, that's been talked about a lot, and it remains true. These fighters like Horta, for instance, at the age of 26, still a member of this team. He has been brought to almost every international event, as evidenced by that 6-1 record. And in Taylor, as I said, a fighter in only his first. So it's obviously Americans usually suffer from experience problems because of the turnover.
Meldrick Taylor, just 3 years of boxing experience. Horta, on the other hand, with 10 years. And good exchange on the inside by these two fighters, and you can see right now that Horta has a long, rangy frame, and he's going to use that left jab effectively.
Meldrick Taylor, just knowing that he comes from the Joe Frazier gym tells you that he is not afraid to mix it up on the inside. And we already see one calling card from virtually every fighter that's trained at that gym, and that is good left hook.
Yes, indeed. Good left hook, as Al Bernstein just said, by Meldrick Taylor out of the Smokin' Joe Frazier gym in Philadelphia. His coach is Willie Rush.
when you look at the people that Horta has beaten among the Americans, it's like a who's who of our amateur program. He beat Bernard Taylor, fine featherweight, Jackie Beard, and also Wayne Lynott. He lost to Rocky Lockridge, who is now the junior lightweight champion of the world. So he's faced good Americans from really several eras.
Absolutely. Clifford Gray, too, can be thrown in there. Horta with a 3-inch height advantage. He is 5'8". Taylor 5'5".
Right now, Roger, he is probably surprised at the hand speed and aggressiveness of Meldrick Taylor, a fighter who was unknown to Horta, and he's finding him a tough man.
Horta does a good job. He's really up on his toes, Alex.
He's a very fine technician in the ring. Oh, good straight right. That buckled the knees of Meldrick Taylor.
And Horta moves in now, and he has Taylor in trouble. But look at Taylor fight back.
There's no quit in Taylor, that's for sure. And he was really hurt with that right hand.
He regained his senses in a hurry as Horta had him in some trouble. And a good right hand. And that stunned Taylor.
Good left by Taylor, and Taylor comes back with his own right. So Meldrick Taylor and Horta in a brawl.
And another good right by Taylor. Oh, the nose of Meldrick Taylor bleeding, both nostrils. And the fans in Reno, Nevada cheering on the youngster out of Philadelphia, PA.
Incredible round.
Boy, Horta's got to take a step back and say, hey, this is not any ordinary 19-year-old I'm in against.
And I tell you, the character of Meldrick Taylor came to the forefront when he was hit with that big right hand. Horta, an experienced fighter, was all over him. Meldrick not only didn't give up, was able to rally back very effectively.
And he sticks in a left jab to Horta's chin. Time running down in the first round, 3 rounds. 125-pound classification, featherweights, Meldrick Taylor of Philadelphia and Adolfo Horta of Cuba. With you, Reno, Nevada, the side of this USA-Cuba dual meet, and a most encouraging and impressive first round for the youngster from Philadelphia, Meldrick Taylor.
He's giving away 8 years and light years of experience to Adolfo Horta. But in that first round, he gained the respect of Horta and hurt him with some tremendous right hands toward the end of that round.
Horta got off first in that opening 3 minutes, but as Al mentioned, Taylor was able to come back and really finish with a flurry. And he's coming right back at the veteran now.
Good combination punching by Taylor. Taylor has a habit of leaving himself open when he throws those combinations. He throws them a little bit wide, but he throws them so quickly and with such force, it's hard to hit him.
Al, do you get the feeling that maybe Horta has watched Sugar Ray Leonard box on 1 or 2 occasions? I just noticed his shoelaces, some of his movements.
Style is a little bit reminiscent. That's a good point. And this is a good example of why the cliche about the Cuban boxer is just that. They fight with a lot of different styles, and the lateral movement of Horta, a good example.
Meldrick Taylor of Philadelphia. And Adolfo Horta of Cuba. Second round. I would be interested in the scoring of that first round.
I would say a very tough round to score, but I would tend to lean a little bit toward Taylor because I thought for the last third of that round he did so well.
Taylor has been the aggressor as far as throwing punches in this round. We've seen a lot of movement from Horta, but he is keeping his distance, if you will.
He wants to box Taylor from the outside. That's obvious. When Taylor gets inside and throws those combinations like that, he's a very effective fighter. Taylor has a brother named Eldrick.
A twin brother.
Yeah, and his name is Meldrick.
Meldrick and
How
Eldrick.
does anybody keep him straight?
Well, you just dropped the M off. That's all you can do.
That's it.
About 3/4 of the way through the second round. And I can just see the confidence growing in Taylor as this fight progresses.
He is fighting with a lot of poise and a lot of confidence, and Horta content to box him from long range, and whether that will win the favor of the judges remains to be seen.
Featherweight classification, 125 pounds, and once again, Taylor came into the body, then went upstairs with the left hook and a good combination. see how they rule that. They're going to count it a knockdown.
It looked like there was a short right hand that may have landed in there.
I agree with you.
Remember, in amateur competition, presumably that counts no more than a good punch.
Taylor thought the round was over, started heading to his corner. There are seconds remaining. Now, Horta came inside, and Taylor was able to connect with a right. Good second round. Really, Taylor had dominated. His nose was bloodied in the first round by Horta, but in international boxing, you can't just go on knockdowns or bloody nose. There's a lot more to it than scoring.
Well, it'd be interesting to test the scoring, which incidentally is done by 2 Cuban judges, 2 Americans, and 1 neutral judge in each of these fights. Presumably in the amateurs, that knockdown counts no more than 1 good punch. We'll see if the judges score it that way, and what a wild exchange in the corner.
These two are really mixing it up right now. The youngster, Meldrick Taylor, 19 years of age, that bloody nose being attended to by the referee, and 26-year-old Adolfo Horta, who has defeated, as Al mentioned earlier, a list of who's who in American boxing in that weight classification.
And we can add to the list I mentioned earlier, Davey Armstrong. He was beaten by Horta on the way to Horta winning the 1979 Pan American Games title. And Horta, by the way, won the silver medal in 1980 Olympics, which, of course, the United States boycotted.
The nose still bleeding, causing some problems for Meldrick Taylor right now. This youngster has just grown in confidence throughout this bout. What a great learning experience. This is going to be a valuable fight, win or lose or draw.
And he's been hurt by Horta by a couple of times by those right hands in the first and in the second when he was knocked down.
The thing is, though, Al, he's been hurt, but he's come back, and he's been landing good combinations in this round. He's been landing the combinations and moving back.
I think in number of punches, Taylor, I think, has the edge in terms of the amount that he's landed.
Well, Horta's shown us a lot of that ring movement and not really throwing a lot of punches, a lot of stylish work. And there is Taylor getting the job done in the corner. He slips down, and yes, that is a slip.
And we've seen from Taylor some balance problems, and that was an indication of he's only 18 years old and is still in the learning process, but he's got the raw ability, I think, to put himself in the hunt to represent us at the Olympics. He's got to contend with people like Bernard Gray in the 125-pound division, and sometimes he fights in the 132 weight category where Clifford Gray and Cornell Whitaker are weighted.
Is this characteristic of Horta's style, or is he just trying to keep out of the way of this youngster?
No, I think it is. He likes to use lateral movement. He might be using a little bit more in this fight than normal, though.
Meldrick Taylor, born in October 1965 in Philadelphia, still lives there and trains at the Smokin' Joe Frazier gym. As Al mentioned, you better learn a left hook there. And there's the left hook right there, and another good combination.
He heard you. Tough fight to score at this point because it's been a lot of give and take, and those wild exchanges, hard to know who really had the edge.
Taylor has been most impressive because he has shown some effective punching, and there's a good right hand by Meldrick Taylor. He has been hurt, and he has come back from being hurt to fight effectively. And there's a late punch, and the two exchange blows after the bell.
Horta hit him after the bell, and as Meldrick Taylor looks at the crowd, he thinks that he is the winner in this.
He's psyched up, isn't he, Al?
Well, he had an excellent outing for his first dual meet international competition. We will take a look at, toward the end of that round, Taylor bouncing a right hand off the head of Horta. Here's that left hook that we talked about, going to both the body and the head. See the hand speed of Taylor. He threw combinations throughout this fight.
And that's where he slipped. As Al mentioned, he did have some balance problems. Horta had 3 inches on him, a little more height.
We look at from a different angle some other action, and the left hook of Taylor was a recurring theme in this fight. It's a punch that, if anything, would help him get this decision. You know, we've talked about how tough it is for the Americans to face the experienced Cubans. What about a guy like Horta? He's faced 7 or 8 Americans. They just keep coming at him. He's got an 18-year-old from Philadelphia he knows nothing about, and all of a sudden he's in the fight of his life, so it's tough for him also.
There's a good look at Meldrick Taylor. You can tell his nose. I think the top of his nose might even be skinned just a bit. It was bleeding throughout the fight. That nose was bloodied in the opening round. Taylor did take a standing 8 count in the second round as a short right hand from Horta caught him right on the button. but he came back from that and fought very effectively throughout. And I think this is going to be a very close decision. Just looking at it from our point of view, you'd say, well, maybe the veteran Horta ought to get it. But then again, sometimes you've got to make room for the newcomer. We'll see. The youngster from Philadelphia wins the featherweight competition here in
I got where I am in business on my own. And now that I have some money, I invest it on my own, where I think it will work hardest for me. The only help I depend on is here, in Barron's. Week after week, Barron's can open your eyes to investment opportunities you didn't even know existed. Stocks, of course, and bonds.
Representing Cuba from Havana, the great Espinoza.
And you might guess, Vincent Reliford out of Fort Worth, Texas, does box out of the Gorman Club. Who doesn't? Reliford has been boxing 8.5 years and is 21 years of age.
And Dave Gorman, of course, who holds fort over the Gorman stable of fighters. That includes Donald Curry, the WBA welterweight title holder, and a number of other good fighters, including Robin Blake, and some good amateurs like Reliford's.
Boxing has really come on strong in Texas in recent years, thanks to the Gorman Club in Fort Worth, Texas, and they've been producing some outstanding young fighters.
Reliford's brother, Kenneth, in fact, fights for Gorman, and he's a professional now, although I think he's toward the end of his professional career, and Vincent hoping to pick up the beat in the amateurs.
Reliford with 4 years of international boxing experience, and his opponent, Espinoza. And to be honest, a young Cuban fighter we don't know an awful lot about, but all the fighters they bring to the United States are good fighters. And wow, what an exchange we've got here in the opening moments of the first round.
And there's a lot of Kenny Reliford and Vincent. Kenny, a fighter known for his all-out attacks, and Vincent doing the same here against Espinoza.
This is not going to be a pretty fight if the opening moments are any indication, and Espinoza landed a solid left. Now he digs to the body. Vincent Reliford, 5'8" tall. Espinoza at 5'10", so he's got a couple of inches and just looks to be much bigger than Reliford.
Good straight right hand, back Reliford up. They have both gotten each other's attention so far and let some big shots landed.
In international scoring now, sometimes you can throw a lot of punches, but they really look at the effectiveness of the punch and how it lands and where it lands.
Well, and part of it, the part of the glove that lands, is you say how effective it is. Good right hook there by Espinoza.
That's why they have the white on the end of the gloves, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, to show where the punch comes in. Good body work by Espinoza.
Good overhand left hook.
And we have not seen that much body work tonight in this competition.
Well, we haven't. Now, how do international judges look upon body punching?
They should look at body punching the same as if you hit a guy in the head, because it's how many effective blows land. This is one of the ancient debates in boxing. I think body punches are not counted as much as they should be.
Well, as we saw a little bit earlier in the Benavidez fight, Ladon hit him with a couple effective body punches, and they counted for good.
And Espinoza having a tremendous round one here. After Reliford was aggressive earlier, Espinoza mixing his attack to both the body and the head, and really effective here.
Appears as though Espinoza has a little more upper body strength, and Reliford's, a lot of his weight is down below in his hips and upper thigh area.
A couple of those little body blows by Espinoza are straying low. Another one
punches to the head. With the protective headgear, Al, as we saw Ladon knock down and out Benavidez, you can actually hurt a fighter more to the body than probably you could to the head.
Yeah, and I think even in a 3-round fight, you want to work the body if at all possible.
Coming down to the end of round 1. Angel Espinoza, Vincent Reliford of the United States, Fort Worth, Texas. Light welterweights, 139 pounds.
Oh, my arm!
Reliford is a wide looping puncher, that's true. And when Reliford comes in, he lunges in, leaving himself open. And Espinoza has been happy to oblige with counter punches.
Now, in this particular situation, the referee didn't come in to break it up. What's the feeling on that in amateur boxing?
Most amateur officials exert more influence on a match than in the professional ranks in terms of breaking fighters, warnings, etc. And tonight, these officials, I think, have been less involved in the fight than I've seen in the past in amateur competition.
Well, I know we've done a number of amateur bouts together, and I was impressed by the way that the referee is kind of letting himself not be known and letting the fighters break, and finally he comes in there.
And I think it's been a more enjoyable evening of boxing because of that.
Once again, Reliford leading with the right hand, trying to set things up with that.
Reliford has a pretty good left hook, and it's a punch he wants to get home. He did just a moment ago, and there it is again. But he needs that punch to win this fight.
Also in the 139-pound classification for the United States, a young man named Zachary Padilla from Sousa, California, will be someone Reliford has to be concerned with down the road.
And again, as we mentioned, good left hook by Reliford. All these fighters, these Americans, soon will be vying for the spot on our Olympic team for 1984. And these fights are a good barometer of just how well they will do.
Espinoza appears a bit winded. One thing about Reliford, he has kept the pressure on as we come down to the conclusion of the second round of this fight between 139-pounders. And he comes out smoking in the third round.
Again, putting the pressure on Espinoza early. That's been his pattern in the first 2 rounds. He has not been able to sustain it, though, over a complete round.
He seems to be able to, there's a good right hand by Reliford, that if he can get on top of Espinoza, which he's been able to do at the beginning of the rounds, he is quite effective. But Espinoza with the reach and height advantage, and if he can get in the middle of the ring, is able to hold Reliford off. He does not want to be in the corner with the young man from Fort Worth, Texas. Here Angel Espinoza showing you that reach advantage, able to stick the right hand in, followed it up with the left.
Reliford is 0-1 in international dual meet competition. He lost to Oleg Kozeliski from the USSR.
I thought you were going to say Oleg Cassini.
No, he's in a different line.
That's exactly.
Although Oleg Cassini's in pretty good shape, he might be able to beat somebody.
Good combination by Espinoza as he has Reliford on the ropes, and he went upstairs and downstairs on that particular. So 3 combinations landed by Angel Espinoza, who's really able to keep Reliford away with that right jab.
He's used it very effectively. As this fight has gone on, it's gotten better and better for him.
Crowd in Reno, Nevada with the USA chant. One thing consistent about Reliford, he'll keep coming forward, and Espinoza now landing some solid punches.
You know, Espinoza, while he has delivered a lot of punishment, has taken some big shots from Reliford and has not flinched, and I think that's the difference in this fight. When Vincent Reliford fights mortals, fighters that may be a little below him, those shots like that right hand get the other fighter in trouble, but it's not happening tonight.
And Reliford with a left hand off the ropes. Espinoza with his mouth wide open, and that's just not taunting Reliford. He's sucking air a little bit.
I think he is a little bit tired. And Reliford likes to take advantage of it. He's landing some good right hand.
And there's another right hand by Reliford.
Really evident here in round 3 how much Reliford pushes his punches, how he just does not deliver them in the proper fashion often, and it really diminishes the power.
Vincent Reliford, 5'8", 139 pounds, from Trimble Technical High in Fort Worth, Texas. And He has been staggered just a bit here now in the third round by Espinoza. Less than 30 seconds to go, and this is the third round. The United States and Cuba. This dual meet from the Waller Special Events Center in Reno, Nevada, and we've had several outstanding bouts so far. This has been very competitive, but they've gone in spurts, Al.
Yeah, and Reliford often doing well early in the round, but as we've seen in this round, Espinoza then taking charge and using his hand speed. Although this round 3 maybe has been Reliford's best overall round.
Coming down to the end of the third and final round, Vincent Reliford and Angel Espinoza.
If you're in business and serious...
That was more or less a push. Now get his trunks straightened up and wipe the gloves off. The first thing you notice about Solano, he keeps that left hand awfully high and was able to land the left to Tate.
Frank Tate was third in the 1982 National Golden Gloves, lost to Roman George, a fighter we've seen here on ESPN in our professional matches from time to time.
Al, why does that left hand way up in the air remind me of a style that maybe we saw in Olympic years past? Is that a particular style that the Cubans used for a while?
Well, I think some of them did when they were indeed fighting, much like the Europeans with that stand-up, straight, erect style. And now, of course, as we said, they're a little more multi-dimensional, but on the ropes.
Tate is really doing a job, and he knocked the mouthpiece out of the mouth of Solano. Although Solano did land a couple of good punches in that exchange. Look at the arms on Frank Tate.
A lot of upper body strength as he demonstrated to Solano. Interestingly, Tate, even with the height and reach advantage, fighting well on the inside.
Solano able to get off punches first here in this opening round.
Good move by
Great
Tate.
right hand by both fighters.
Tate getting off those ropes well, and look at him work on the inside with Solano.
Both of these guys are headhunting. Nary a body shot thrown. Solano finally went downstairs.
They have both had the dubious distinction of losing to the same man, Sean O'Sullivan, perhaps the best fighter in the world in this weight division.
We've seen him on ESPN before, out of Canada.
Wonderful fighter, and one of the really the favorite perhaps for the Olympic gold medal here in this Olympic year.
Halfway through the first round, Frank Tate of the United States, Detroit, Michigan, Orestes Solano of Cuba, and 156 pounds besides Tate, Dennis Milton from the Bronx, New York, is also to be considered for a spot on the Olympic team.
And in fact, Milton has fought Solano before. Milton lost to Solano in the 1983 Pan American Games.
Solano has been boxing 4 years. Tate, on the other hand, with 8 years of boxing experience. Boy, Solano really wants to stay on the inside and work against the ropes. A couple of good overhand rights by Tate.
And part of that reason is to nullify the height advantage of Tate.
Al, you're right. He does do a good job fighting on the inside with his height and reach advantage. You would think that he would be at a disadvantage, but he throws nice, short, crisp punches. Oh, good job by Tate on the inside. Open for Frank Tate. Solano with a good rally here as we come down to the conclusion of the first round between Frank Tate and Orestes Solano.
Forward, as you said, and when he gets inside, he's landing some good shots. But I think Solano is even surprised that Tate fights him so well on the inside. I think he figured once he got there, most of his battle would be won.
Overhand right by Solano, knocked Tate back. Once again, Solano getting right in the chest of Frank Tate. The right hand again is just there. Tate has it anytime he wants it.
I think Tate...
There's the right hand again, and it knocked the mouthpiece out of the mouth of Orestes Solano for the second time in this fight.
And they're taking the mouthpiece over. That could just as well have been a standing 8 count, and I thought the referee was going to give him one. That right hand really stunned Solano.
Solano keeps that left hand extended upward, and then see right there, and then he drops it down after he throws the jab and doesn't get it back up in time.
You know, Tate is using his left hand to measure for the right. I think if he used that jab a little bit more, that punch would be there for him. He can hit Solano with that jab almost at will.
So the jab is there for Frank Tate. The overhand right has been there for Frank Tate. That time Solano got in a couple of right hands.
Solano's first dual meet competition against the United States or anyone internationally for that matter, and he's getting quite a baptism.
You mentioned that Solano had lost to Sean O'Sullivan. That was on a disqualification. As a matter of fact, in international competition, Solano with a good overhand right there might have stunned Tate momentarily. Was a winner in a disqualification over Dario Mattoni of Argentina. So he has been involved in some disqualifications in his international career.
And that is not surprising. Almost every fighter with a lot of experience has had his share of those.
Tate has shown the ability to fight in close, but I would imagine he would be most effective fighting in the middle of the ring, using that jab and coming overhand with the right.
I think we especially saw that in this round. He can use the jab and the straight right often. He may be making this a harder fight for himself.
Good point. Well, Orestes Solano has let it be known that's how he wants to fight, in tight in the ropes, and Tate with a good right hand. Solano gets in a good punch to the right side of the head of Frank Tate.
Solano just...
Oh, big right hand by Tate.
I was going to say, he just keeps walking into those right hands, but he goes nowhere. He's able to take those shots from Tate.
Another big right hand by Tate. Solano, game fighter. Look at Tate work on the inside of the body, but Solano leaning into him. And Tate able to fight him back out to the middle of the ring. And another good right hand by Frank Tate as we wind down to the end of round 2. And another big right hand. It's been the right hand of Frank Tate against Orestes Solano here in Reno, Nevada. A big round for Frank Tate.
He was able to get the right hand home often, and again, there it is to the head of Orestes Solano.
One thing consistent about Solano, he just comes forward and he keeps coming forward. He has not backed off one iota.
He has landed some good shots to the head of Tate also. We have to give Tate credit for taking those shots.
And you got to wonder the power in the punch of Frank Tate, because he has hit Solano with some very good punches.
He's not setting himself as well as he might for those punches, and I think that's something they'll want to work on. At 19, he is still a little bit raw, not a polished fighter, but at 19, you'd like to have a small piece of his future.
Yes, you would. Kettering High School in Detroit, Michigan. Both fighters trying to catch the breath just a bit here in the opening moments of the third round.
Talked about Dennis Milton as one of his chief rivals for the Olympic berth, and he lost to Milton in the 1982 U.S. Amateurs. He finished second in that competition. But he beat Milton in the 1983 U.S. Amateurs and won the title.
But a good straight left and that overhand right. That combination has been there for Frank Tate. And these two just leaning against one another, throwing punches, headhunting both of them.
We are now at the point where they are fatigued and everything is landing.
Orestes Solano with blood dripping from his mouth, out of the corner of his mouth.
And we should point out that neither of these fighters are really great defensive fighters.
Good right hand by Orestes Solano. Neither of them are keeping that left hand up, and I guess that's the cardinal rule in boxing, always to keep the left up, and neither of these fighters doing a very good job of that. You can see the blood coming out of the mouth of Orestes Solano.
Well, he has taken so many of those right hands in this fight, and only 3 rounds.
The referee says, let me get out of the way first before you two guys get going, all right?
Well, somebody better tell that referee you got to defend yourself at all times.
Absolutely. Solano has lost his mouthpiece in the first round and the second round from devastating right hands from Frank Tate. Look at him go on the inside.
You see, Frank Tate has no leverage in those punches.
There goes the mouthpiece again. Third time. And the crowd here in Reno, Nevada, booing. I'd love to understand Spanish to see what...
Yeah. I think it was go get him.
Go get him? I think that's universal. That's a good guess, Al.
That might be a literal translation.
Right hand by Solano lands, and Tate now driven back. Good crowd on hand here at the Lawler Special Events Center in Reno, Nevada. Enthusiastic crowd as the United States and Cuba go after one another in this dual meet. Left hand by Solano, effective punch.
Well, what an entertaining fight. Not perhaps the purest form of boxing, but it's been entertaining.
It wasn't artistic, but it was fun as we completed the 3 rounds.
And they're sharp at the hilt, center, and tips. But there's still more.
65-pound middleweight division, Nunn out of Davenport, Iowa. We mentioned, Al, that he suffered a sprained ankle 3 days before this competition.
I think that's having some impact on his movement, and you know, it has to hurt a fighter like him who is a mobile fighter.
Nunn, as we mentioned, Davenport, Iowa, 21 years of age, as is Comas. When he throws his punches. You find that in some fighters that send along a few expressions, grunts and groans and such as they unload. This is the second round. The United States and Cuba all tied up at 3 in this dual meet competition in Reno, Nevada.
Comas, of course, the 1982 world champion in that title, beat Iran Barkley en route to winning it. So he's a tough fighter.
Barkley is indeed a good fighter. Nunn to the right of the screen. Now with his back to you. Born in Mississippi. Awkward move right there.
He's trying to press the attack against Comas. I get the feeling Comas waiting to counterpunch him, looking for one shot, waiting to load up with a punch.
Right hand landed by Comas. Nunn has been short on a lot of his punches in this round. Right hand by Comas, and that hurt Nunn.
Good straight right hand. That's the punch that Comas looked like he was waiting on.
Nunn is hurt. Look at that left leg is just stiff.
He gets the standing 8 count, but he is in all kinds of trouble right now.
Comas moves right in, hits him with a left, a right uppercut, now a straight right, and once again Nunn is staggered.
His legs are all but gone.
I'm very surprised he's allowing this to go.
Nunn is just literally out on
right hand by Comas, and now he stops it. He sends Comas to the other corner, and he walks Nunn over to his corner. And the referee has stopped this fight, so Bernardo Comas of Cuba will win this in the second round against Michael Nunn of Davenport, Iowa, in the 165-pound middleweight classification.
It was the straight right hand that started the trouble for Nunn, and once Comas got that punch in, Michael Nunn was easy prey. That was the punch that Comas had been waiting on for the first round and a half of this fight.
Once again, not to make any excuses for Nunn, but he did suffer a sprained ankle 3 days before this competition. The winner in the 165-pound middleweight classification. Cuba now with a 4-3 lead in this dual meet competition against the U.S. of A.
Thank you now, the lightweights in this tournament bout, 132-pound class, introducing from Norfolk, Virginia, the world-famed Whitaker.
Bill. Al Bernstein with you now. The last 3 times these two fighters have met, Pernell Whitaker has come away with victories, the big one in the Pan Am Games.
Pernell Whitaker, both these fighters southpaws, as you can see. Whitaker, a fighter with the style to give Herrera problems. He's careful, he's cautious, but when he unloads, he can throw good combinations and with pretty good power.
Herrera, 26 years of age, Whitaker, 20, and I think of all the U.S. fighters, Pernell Whitaker, really one of our top stars if you had to pick 1 or 2 out of the entire group.
He is considered in his weight division to be a real solid vet, just gained the Olympic berth, and I think could do very well in the Olympics. I think he is a very sound technician in the ring, and when he's on his game, is an excellent amateur.
Of course, Meldrick Taylor and Clifford Gray also can work in that 132-pound classification, so the U.S. well stocked in that area.
Herrera, a veteran at the age of 26. He's got over 12 years of experience, and he has faced so many of the top fighters. Again, fought Johnny Bumpus, Bernard Taylor, Rocky Lockridge, who now is the junior lightweight champion. He also fought Vinny Pazienza, a fighter that we've seen on ESPN. Yeah. Actually, in Bumpus, Lockridge, and Pazienza, he's beat all 3. He has beaten the entire Lou Duva stable of professionals. So Lou doesn't ever want to see this guy leave Cuba and become a professional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Herrera in the red. Whitaker, white trunks, the blue jersey, of course, for the United States. Norfolk, Virginia, attends Norfolk State University. And he's been boxing for 11 of his 20 years.
Whitaker, a good body puncher, and he went downstairs with the right. We're seeing some of Herrera's hand speed. He's a good combination puncher.
Good left hand by Whitaker. Sometimes the lefties do confuse one another, don't they, Al? They stopped there for just a moment and kind of looked at each other and tried to get a handle on exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's almost discernible. You can tell that the wheels are spinning and they're saying, what can I do to get through to this guy?
It's like your entire life, you work against that right hander, all of a sudden you get that left hander. It's like you're looking in a mirror almost.
And there you saw them both miss straight left hands, a testimony to what you were saying.
And they both came with overhand lefts and missed too. And that was a quick hit by Herrera on the break by the referee. Winding down to the conclusion of the first round. Lightweights, Pernell Whitaker from Norfolk, Virginia, and Angel Herrera of Cuba.
During the Suzuki knockout.
And they're going to count it as a knockdown.
I think legitimately so. He wasn't hurt, but he was hit with a right hand that knocked him off balance. And it's a shame in a way for Whitaker because he was having a very good beginning in that second round.
If you go back to 1980, Al, Herrera was very successful in the Olympics, was he not? I think it was against Demianenko.
That's right, yeah.
Soviet Union.
And he won the gold medal in 1976, also beating Davey Armstrong along the way in what was a very controversial decision.
I remember that. And Pernell Whitaker has been up against the Russian fighter Demianenko. As we saw here on ESPN in the USA against Soviet Union, he won a decision last year.
Yeah, that was about that we broadcast, and I thought in that fight Whitaker looked very good. He and Herrera are evenly matched fighters, despite the 3 wins in a row by Whitaker, and we're seeing evidence of that in this fight. Although Pernell went down in this round, he's having a much better second round than he was at first.
The last time that Whitaker lost to Herrera was back in 1982 in the World Championships. He lost on points in the finals for second. So 3 straight victories since then for Pernell Whitaker against Angel Herrera. Good left hand by Whitaker.
Whitaker is starting to get not only a straight left in, but also a good right hook. And in this round, he has jolted Herrera several times.
So Herrera in 76 and 80, a successful Olympic competitor. Will 1984 be as successful as those past 2?
He is trying to win the a third straight consecutive gold medal, and his teammate Stevenson, who we'll see later against Tyrell Biggs, did achieve that.
And he's still just 26 years of age. Notice now Whitaker has really pulled his trunks down quite low. I don't know, maybe if he felt he was getting hit low, but he made an effort to pull them down a bit. Whitaker misses. Whitaker trying to establish the jab with the right hand. And Herrera's showing him a lot of good movement, not letting himself be a stationary target for that jab.
I think it's important for him against Whitaker. I think Whitaker's stronger on the inside, and Herrera can't really fight him there that effectively.
This has been a very close fight so far. Whitaker did go down. He's standing 8 count at the beginning of the second round. Right hand lands by Herrera as we complete 2 rounds from Reno, Nevada.
Whitaker, he did suffer this flash knockdown at the hands of Angel Herrera, but he got up to perform very well.
Angel Herrera of Cuba and Pernell Whitaker. Whitaker doesn't waste any time at all. Young man out of Norfolk, Virginia, immediately got inside and landed the right hand. This is a close bout, Al. I would be hard-pressed to tell you who's ahead right now.
You can make a strong case that Herrera won round 1 and Whitaker round 2, so things would be very much in doubt here in the third.
Whitaker, though, has come out and been the aggressor in the opening moments of the third round. 132-pound lightweights, 2 guys that have met each other many times before, and Whitaker has won the last 3.
Whitaker, at the age of 20, an experienced amateur, a fighter who I think is very close to reaching, at least as an amateur, his peak, and it's coming at the right time for him. You know, the Olympic situation is such that it's kind of like the playoffs in the pro leagues. You've got to peak at the right time. You can be winning as he is for years, but if you falter in those Olympic trials, then you're in trouble.
Whitaker, 20 years of age. Herrera, 26. Herrera is married. Lives in Guantanamo. He's been boxing for 12 years. Whitaker, on the other hand, has been fighting for 11 years. He certainly has ring savvy. Good technician, but also is able to wheel and deal a little bit.
Whitaker is effective when he's fighting not right off his opponent's chest, but reasonably close, because he can get that right hook cranked up, and he's got a lot of power in it.
He's been looking for that left hook. He's been trying to set up the jab to set up that left hook, and Herrera's done an effective job of keeping him from that strategy. It does seem, though, when Whitaker can get off first, he is more successful than trying to counterpunch.
Very much in doubt, and the last minute or so, this fight could easily turn it one way or the other.
And Whitaker that time just pulled Herrera down. Now that's the thing about international boxing rules. That knockdown won't be considered any more or less than simply what it was is a good punch. Just because it was a knockdown, that doesn't mean that if it came down to a close decision that Herrera would get the nod.
It shouldn't be, according to the way the amateur rules go. Sometimes I think it depends on the official, but it shouldn't be. Good right by Herrera.
Fine exchange right there.
And round 3 has not offered us much in terms of a conclusive outcome of this fight.
Well, less than 20 seconds to go. A very even fight. Let's see who finishes with a flurry here at the end to maybe make a lasting impression on the judges. They both just trade punches. Whitaker of Norfolk, Virginia, Angel Herrera of Cuba, and that completes the third round. And Pernell Whitaker has won the last 3 against Angel Herrera. Will it be 4 in a row? It should be a close decision. Let's check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner in the 132-pound class, representing USA.
the fourth consecutive time to his American counterpart. We'll be back with more USA Cuba amateur boxing from Reno, Nevada on ESPN after this.
Go toe-to-toe for Sam Rosen's blow-by-blow. It's all here Thursday on ESPN.
Reno, Nevada is the site for this USA Cuba amateur boxing dual meet, the Lawler Special Events Center. ESPN happy to be here and bring you this dual meet. Coming up next, 147 pounds, Lewis Howard of the United States and Candelario Duvergal of Cuba.
In the middleweight division, 147 pounders, representing the United States,
if you get him, I'm afraid
Universal City, Missouri, Lewis Howard.
All right, be ready now. Relax, take it easy, and be ready. Hands up.
Lewis Howard, 21 years of age. Duvergal, 22 years of age. And both of these fighters with extensive experience. And Duvergal, I think, Al, is a guy that not only can fight at the 147-pound, but also 139, can he not?
He goes back and forth, and he's in this position mostly because the Cubans weren't strong in this particular weight category, and they asked him to step up, so he did.
And he has been in with some good ones, including Mark Breland of the United States, and some impressive victories along the way for this young man from Guantanamo, a student who's been fighting just 4 years.
He lost to Mark Breland, lost on decision, but these days losing just by decision to Mark Breland is an achievement. Breland, of course, a fine welterweight from New York with great power, and the man we're looking at now, Lewis Howard, considers Breland's major rival for that spot on the Olympic team in the 147-pound weight class.
Also at 147 pounds, Ron Essett of Indianapolis.
Another good fighter.
We saw Lewis Howard here on ESPN in the USA against USSR, losing on points to Konikbayev, and down goes Lewis Howard.
They both landed right hands.
They did.
And Howard just simply felt the force of Duvergal's more. I thought Duvergal would be hurt by Howard's right hand.
Howard's punch looked like the much cleaner shot. Of course, Howard had his back to us, to the camera.
Duvergal showing Howard that he's got some power in that right hand.
I don't imagine they call him Candy for short, do they?
No relation to the Pittsburgh pitcher, obviously.
Lewis Howard, listed as St. Louis, Missouri, actually from University City, attends Merrimack Community College. He's been boxing for 6 years. Won the Pan Am Games for the United States in '83.
Howard has been a kind of an enigmatic performer. He's had his moments where he's looked just excellent, and then other times when he doesn't seem to live up to his potential.
Of course, St. Louis, Missouri has turned out a few fighters, specifically the Spinks brothers, to name a few.
Indeed, who were excellent as amateurs, of course, in addition to their exploits as pros. Howard fought Andre Aldama, who was the legendary Cuban fighter who, unfortunately, in the '76 Olympics for him, ran into Sugar Ray Leonard. Otherwise, he would have been an Olympic title holder.
The legendary Sugar Ray.
The legendary Sugar Ray Leonard, indeed. Howard lost to Aldama, but it was a good experience for him early in his career.
There is some swelling under the left eye of Lewis Howard as Duvergal has been able to land that right hand as he did just there, and he came back with it. He doubled up on it as we have less than 30 seconds to go in the first round. Good right hand by Duvergal again. Oh, he's doing some fine infighting also.
Howard is walking into those punches as he comes in. Duvergal with good hand speed and very accurate with his punch.
He's a very erect fighter. He stands very erect as he throws his punches, but very sharp punches and very effective so far as we come to the end of the first round in Reno, Nevada.
every neighborhood.
Power of Duvergal's right hand, knocking Lewis Howard down when both really landed excellent rights.
Almost at the same moment, but Duvergal with a little more power. It is Howard really comes out the aggressor, and he has Duvergal in the corner, but Duvergal getting the best of the exchange.
With that hand speed, Duvergal threw so many punches so quickly, and Lewis Howard has hand speed himself. It's not like he doesn't punch well in combination.
Now Lewis Howard pummeling Duvergal against the ropes, and Candelario Duvergal just moves off. He's got a height advantage and a bit of a reach advantage against Lewis Howard.
Boy, these are two fine amateur welterweights, both with a lot of ring skills, and they're putting on really a good boxing show here.
You know, the Cuban fighter is the looser, kind of more flamboyant of the two, and Lewis Howard, the very erect, has the hands up right in front of him, maybe a bit more mechanical.
I think that's a good description, and usually we would expect it to be just the other way around, but in this case you're right, and that's good testimony again to the fact that the Cubans are fighting with all different kind of styles and giving the Americans a much different look than they have in the past. Duvergal looks more like Thomas Hearns out there.
He does. The way he's shaking those arms, let him hang down to his side, bouncing.
You would never have seen a Cuban fighter fighting this way 3 or 4 years ago. It's interesting, you know, Howard is facing a prototype in some sense of Mark Breland, the man he will maybe have to deal with in those Olympic trials. So he's getting a taste of what he'll have to face when he faces Breland, if indeed he does.
Good point. Breland similar in style and size.
Good jab, good right hand, and fights in this style very much. So Howard getting
another right hand, and another right hand by Duvergal. He has been able to land that will against Lewis Howard, and the swelling continues under the left eye now of Lewis Howard of St. Louis, Missouri.
Very little head movement from Howard. He is not bending at the waist at all, coming in straight up, a very easy target. And, as you said, what it's caused is swelling around the left eye.
Very efficient punching by Duvergal. He wastes little motion. Good short, crisp shots, and he has been landing the more effective punches so far in this fight.
Howard just coming in straight up.
Was able to get a right hand that time. A lot of action in the second round, and Duvergal has gotten the best of Lewis Howard as we've completed 2 of the scheduled 3 rounds.
In sports, timing is everything.
Al Bernstein back with you. United States and Cuba, and in this particular bout, we are entering the 3rd round, 147-pound welterweight classification. Candelario Duvergal of Cuba and Lewis Howard of the United States. Now we're talking about the other 147-pounders for the U.S., and Howard has lost to both Breland and Essett in years past.
Yeah, he was stopped by Mark Breland in the 1982 U.S. Amateur Championships, and so his work is cut out for him if he's to make the U.S. Olympic team, and this kind of competition is only helpful to him. Right now, though, as we said, facing a fighter of a similar style to Breland, he's had lots of trouble tonight in taking on Duvergal.
And he lost to Essett in the U.S. Amateur in '82. Couple of left jabs landed by Lewis Howard. Boy, I tell you, is Duvergal loose or what?
He is showing us a lot of movement, confusing Lewis Howard and hitting him from different angles.
Duvergal is really able to stick and move, as they say in the boxing game.
I guess. He gives that phrase new meaning.
He doesn't stay in one place very long, and of course a moving target, obviously, Al, is the hardest thing to hit. But he has been very effective going in, throwing a lot of quick punches and getting back out and making Howard chase him.
Now, amateur officials usually don't take kindly to this. When a fighter boxes a lot, moves around the ring quite a bit, he's got to become stationary and throw punches every now and then, or the judges tend not to give him much points when he does throw punches.
But Duvergal doesn't waste punches. When he throws, they're usually effective.
Lewis Howard frustrated at this point.
Oh, good right hand by Duvergal.
And that's why he's walked into those right hands repeatedly.
Lewis Howard has tried to get Duvergal against the ropes and tried to work inside, and on several occasions has, but Duvergal's been the better boxer, and Tate has been able to fight out of that situation.
The mouthpiece of Duvergal fell out. Howard is 1-3 in dual meet competitions on an international basis. He would love to improve that mark, but it doesn't look like he's done it tonight.
Shuffle by Duvergal there. Once again, the right hand getting in. Oh, and a good solid right hand, and that stuns Lewis Howard, and he is down. Blood coming from the nose of Lewis Howard as Candelario Duvergal once again the straight right hand.
Howard comes straight at him again, but he is just a target for Duvergal.
Howard fighting back though. No quit in this young man. That left eye is almost closed now. Less than 30 seconds to go. The left eye nearly closed as Duvergal has worked with that right hand against that left eye of Lewis Howard.
And for Howard, it would appear at this point that he continues to have troubled times in international competition.
Duvergal continues to bounce, continues to move as we come to the conclusion of this fight in the 147-pound classification.
I've got a headache this big, and it's got Excedrin written all over it.
I've got a headache this big, and it's got Excedrin written all over it.
Excedrin, the big headache medicine. More medicine than any regular strength pain reliever. The most medicine you can buy without a prescription. Nothing is stronger.
I had a headache.
Larry Duvergal's right hand felt by Lewis Howard, and this one sent him crashing to the canvas, bouncing off the ropes in the process. And that right hand, that was really the story of this fight. The Duvergal right just too powerful for Howard.
We will get the decision now, and I don't think it'll be much of a surprise. You can see Lewis Howard with the towel and that left eye nearly closed as he had a tough time. Ice in that towel, and he's trying to get that swelling down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner in the welterweight division representing Cuba, Candelario Duvergal.
Not really a surprise. Good-looking young man from Cuba. And I'm sure a young man will want to keep our eye on going to the '84 Olympics. A very impressive victory over Lewis Howard of the United States, St. Louis, Missouri. We'll be back with more amateur boxing on ESPN after this. Evander Holyfield, Decatur, Georgia. And once again, another one of the young American fighters, part of Operation Gold training in Colorado Springs, Colorado. That's been a real benefit for our young boxers, hasn't it, Al?
Very much so. It's given them some sense of continuity in terms of their training, and I think it will produce in 1984 a very good Olympic team, and would have in 1980. Some of the people that won the trials in 1980 were excellent fighters, and I think would have done very well at the Olympics had we not boycotted.
As we take a look at these two fighters, Pablo Romero is 22 years of age. He is a student. He's been boxing for 7 years. In 1982, in a USA-Cuba competition, he stopped Johnny Williams with a knockout and decisioned Sherman Griffin last year.
And these two fighters have faced each other before. Romero won on points in the Pan American Games, and for that finished second in that contest. So Holyfield would like to return the favor tonight.
Keep in mind, yet to come here on this USA-Cuba amateur boxing dual meet from Reno, Nevada, Teofilo Stevenson and Tyrell Biggs. Now, would you say that in the last few years, our amateurs in the upper weight divisions, maybe specifically light heavyweight, have not been what we would like them to be? We've had more success in the lighter weights.
I think that's a very apt comment, because the lower weight fighters have continued to get better and better and better, and the higher weight fighters don't seem to have followed suit. But then, you know what? That's the case in all of boxing, Roger. We've seen that in the professional ranks as well. So obviously it's coming from the amateurs.
The crowd at the Lawler Special Event Center in Reno, Nevada, chanting USA. It's been a very close competition so far. Holyfield trying to go downstairs.
He's doing a good job to the body. Both these fighters throwing good combinations on the inside.
That was a good right hand by Evander.
Ooh, he is a good body puncher. In this first round, early in the round also, he's going downstairs effectively. It's a rather unusual first name, and it's Holyfield, Holyfield. It's like you ask a lot of athletes how you pronounce their name. He says, just call me a fighter, or just call me a basketball player. That's what I want to be known as. We've completed one round. It's time to meet. It's really good. And there you see it. There's a good combination by Holyfield.
And another good combination. And another good combination. And Romero gets in a right hand and another right. But Holyfield has started the second round. 3 good combinations. Now, Romero steps back and has landed several punches here. But those punches were landed while he was falling backwards, so really not much behind them.
You know, we talk about the differences between pro and amateur. As a pro, Holyfield with that good body work would benefit more because fights would go a little longer, and later in the fight he would be able to tire his opponent out.
Maybe that's why we don't see as much body punching in the amateur ranks as we ought to.
I think that's part of it, and part of it is that the judges sometimes just simply don't count that as much as they ought to.
Well, we certainly won't forget the body punching of Ramon Ladon earlier tonight against Jesse Benavidez, and Jesse will not forget the body punches.
Ladon sent him down with 2 tremendous body shots at the end of the fight.
These are light heavyweights, 178 pounds, and other Americans vying for the Olympic squad in this particular weight division. Orbit Powell of Miami, Florida, and that's some kind of name, isn't it? Yeah. And Ricky Womack of Detroit is a pretty fair fighter who has met Evander Holyfield on more than one occasion. As a matter of fact, in '83, Holyfield decisioned Ricky Womack in the finals of the Pan Am trials, the Sports Festival.
They may be the 2 that people think will be contesting for this division. Boy, both fighters landing very, very well, and a couple of good, solid right hands from Romero. He is wearing Holyfield down a little bit in this round.
He is really coming up under nicely, isn't he, Al? He looks good throwing that hook.
Holyfield pushing his punches a little bit, showing a little fatigue.
Good right hand by Romero. Now, Holyfield's leaning a little bit now. Good exchange inside. Romero throwing more punches. And, oh, a big right hand by Romero. Then he goes with the left hook to the body.
If round 1 belonged to Holyfield by even a narrow margin, it would appear that Romero coming back here in round 2.
He has done it with infighting in the corner as we've completed 2 rounds from Reno.
Thursday.
The referee now steps in, giving a warning to Romero to get his punches up.
And, you know, they were working him a little bit, that official from the corner of Holyfield, telling referees 4 times he hit him low in that last round. When are you going to warn him?
Right hand by Romero, and Holyfield comes back with the left. That was a good point you made, Al, because Holyfield was indeed very tired at the end of the second round. It could have been, and there once again they're getting a warning about a low blow. It could have been that he did hit him with some low blows. And as you well know from all the fights that you've called, that'll take it out of a boxer faster than anything.
That's for sure. And, you know, they still haven't taken a point away, and usually after a warning or 2, they will take a point away. They haven't done that for Romero. I would think if it happens again, a point would be taken away.
Holyfield standing flat-footed now. uppercuts by Romero.
Holyfield not throwing nearly as many punches as he was in the first and part of the second round.
He's tired. We're halfway through round 3. And once again, Romero has shown that he can throw the uppercut, and he's been very effective with that punch.
He is throwing 10 punches to every one that Holyfield throws. That was a good combination by Evander.
One of his few in this third round. He came in with the left hand. Once again, Romero goes downstairs. I think they took a point away now.
You know, I thought that was a legal punch. I thought that was one of the legal ones he's thrown, but I guess the referee was so keenly aware of his other low blows that he took the point away.
Well, he figured he got close enough, and he wasn't going to let it happen again. Good right hand by Romero. Well, there's just a grimace on Holyfield's face, and another good, solid right hand by Pablo Romero. As since the second round, he has really landed the majority of the punches, and they have been effective punches as he's come underneath with uppercuts and landed the straight right to the head of Holyfield. And Holyfield has been off balance a lot in this round, Al.
Yeah, and even with that point being taken away, you have to feel that Romero doing very well here in the third round. So it's going to be tough for Holyfield, I think, to pull this out.
Light heavyweights, USA Cuba from Reno, Nevada, as we complete the 3 rounds.
Saturday, the USFL action is non-stop when the Los Angeles Express...
Competition at 178 pounds. We move now to the heavyweights, 201 pounds. We will pick it up in the second round. Henry Milligan of the United States and Aurelio Toyo of Cuba. Milligan, Al, an interesting case, a 10-letter winner at Princeton University, and baseball, wrestling, a couple of his sports along with football, and he has taken up boxing at a late stage of life, if you want to call around 22, 23 years of age late. But he's got a lot of determination.
Indeed, he's only had about 2 years of experience as a boxer, and he works as a civil engineer, interestingly enough. That's his degree from Princeton. He is dedicated to making it in amateur boxing, and he hopes to getting to the Olympics.
Avery Rawls and Olean Alexander, other Americans in that 201 weight-pound classification. Milligan's a fine athlete. As we say, he got a late start in boxing, and there was a low blow there by Toyo.
Seem to have a rash of those now in this competition. Milligan with a big heart, a rugged competitor, a little lacking sometimes in technique.
Was the Delaware High School Athlete of the Year in 1977, and he's quite a character. He's been out on his own after college, and somebody asked him, what's the hardest thing? He says, well, I don't know. He says, I either need a wife or a microwave oven. I'm not getting enough to eat, that's for sure.
Oh, God, feminists out there are cringing at that statement.
Toyo, Aurelio Toyo, 5'10", 201 pounds, a physical education teacher in Havana, has been fighting for 5 years, and the champion of the Cuban Nationals in 1984.
Milligan hit him with a tremendous left hook a moment ago, and it seemed to do absolutely no damage. And Milligan could punch. Good right hand by Milligan. A good left.
Milligan throwing a lot of punches, but Toyo also landing on the inside.
Toyo has taken the best that Milligan can give him, and he has taken some shots.
And Toyo has thrown some fine punches underneath as Milligan backs him up against the ropes. Henry Milligan, 25 years of age, and a good straight right hand by Toyo. And that wobbled the legs, and now a warning being given to Toyo for pushing.
Toyo is making this a clinic in roughhouse tactics. Another low blow by Toyo.
Toyo is 21. And he has the reach and the height advantage, and he has Milligan in trouble now in the corner. And once again pulls him from behind.
And a point taken away. Toyo looks surprised. I don't know why.
Big right hand by Toyo, and Milligan goes down. And he is hurt. And the referee stops the fight.
A right hand, it looked like right behind the ear of Milligan. And for Henry Milligan, we mentioned he has tremendous heart, but boy, he's not going to continue after that shot. He is still wobbling. Great right hand by Aurelio Toyo in a round in which Toyo was hit with some big bombs.
Milligan did land a number of punches, looked very good in the early part of this second round. But consequently, Toyo comes up with the big right hand, sends Milligan down, and ends it in the second round in the 201-pound heavyweight classification here in Reno, Nevada.
This bud's for everyone who scrapes it, sprays it.
1982 in a USA-Cuba dual meet. And, of course, a much younger Tyrell Biggs at that time against the veteran Stevenson.
And a younger Stevenson, you might add, who is now 33. You'll see the power of Stevenson to the body. He can go downstairs as well as any fighter around. And when he is on and when he is at the best of his game, he can throw good body shots, and we saw him hurt Tyrell Biggs with that one.
This fight went into the second round, and Stevenson really took control.
And we'll see the thunderous right hand of Stevenson, this time landing to the head of Tyrell Biggs, and that was all she wrote. And we'll see the hand of Teofilo Stevenson raised in victory, and what a familiar sight that has been. U.S. boxers, Tyrell Biggs almost in tears there. He was really motivated after that win to come back against Stevenson.
Stevenson at 6'5", 200 pounds, and Biggs 6'5", 218 pounds. And we asked Biggs how he would approach this fight with Teofilo Stevenson,
get in and out of there before he could do anything.
a man who has won 3 consecutive Olympic gold medals.
We're going to fight him differently. I presume he cannot do so many things differently that he done the last time. I guess it goes back to the saying, you can't teach a old dog new tricks. And I'm still coming up, and I'm still improving, and I'm getting stronger, and I've trained really hard for this fight, and I think that the type of fight that I'm going to fight him with is going to enable me to beat him.
This is Tyrell Biggs, Teofilo Stevenson. We've been waiting for this one from Reno, Nevada.
Boys of boxing, these are super heavyweights.
Of course, a good look at Teofilo Stevenson. Still a happy look on his face as Tyrell Biggs was just introduced. And Al, how long can this man continue to go? Of course, when you're fighting just 3 rounds, you can continue in this game for a number of years.
Indeed, and he's 33 years old. He gets a little boo from the crowd, but they respect his ability. But you're right, he's fighting 3 rounds and fighting in specific tournaments from time to time. So we'll see. He still has power in that right hand, and that's what Tyrell Biggs has to worry about.
Still listed as a student, 33 years of age. Well, resides in Las Tunas in Cuba, and as I mentioned, he's won 3 consecutive Olympic gold medals and is the only man besides the legendary Laszlo Papp of Hungary to do that.
And the key for Biggs, I think, is to stay away from the Stevenson right hand and stay busy. He can do that. We've seen fighters be effective against Stevenson in that way.
Stevenson is listed at 220 pounds. Now, he used to fight around the 202.5 range, and I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, he has really put on a considerable amount of weight.
It's a natural process for all heavyweights. They all tend to get heavier as they hit their 30s.
You know, with that headgear on, for a fleeting moment, he reminds you a little bit of Muhammad Ali in the face.
He does indeed. And, you know, Ali was a good example of the fact that fighters, when they get older, can still deal with the big power punchers. They can't deal with the speed. It's the speed that bothers them. And that's where Biggs has a chance, at least, against Stevenson. The fighters that have hurt Stevenson or given him trouble in the past mostly have been quick fighters, like Michael Oakes gave him a run for his money in the Pan American Games some years ago because of his speed.
Biggs is an outstanding athlete. Attended Hampton Institute, a good combination right there. Biggs will show you a lot of movement. He was a basketball player in college.
And this is the fight Tyrell Biggs needs to fight against Stevenson. Peck away, get in and out, and not worry about knocking him out right away or maybe even at all, and keep Stevenson on the defense.
The other super heavyweight for the U.S., Craig Payne from Livonia, Michigan.
And indeed, Payne has a win over Stevenson, beat him in the North American Championships last year. So that's the man that Biggs will be fighting against probably for an Olympic berth.
Stevenson also has some competition in Cuba. There's a young man by the name of Jorge Gonzalez coming up who is 6 feet 6 inches tall and 230 17 pounds, so they like their heavyweights tall and rangy down in Cuba.
Biggs is doing a good job with the jab, keeping it in the face of Stevenson, and Teofilo yet to get off. Of course, we've seen this before from him. He waits, he bides his time, always feeling that the right hand will get the job done for him.
Crowd in Reno, Nevada chanting USA as the Cubans with a 7-4 advantage in this dual competition. And once again, the lighter weights got the U.S. off to a pretty good start, but the heavier weight divisions is where they fall behind.
You know, you can sense as you watch this fight, people just sitting waiting for that right hand of Stevenson to be dropped on Biggs.
Left hand by Biggs lands as we come down to the end of the first round between Tyrell Biggs and Teofilo Stevenson.
Monday, ESPN Motors into Moscow are ready to rumble in the ring. Find out who takes it on the chin when these arch rivals clash. Nemesis in search of a knockout when the USA meets Russia Monday.
Thursday, we'll show you the NFL's best ever teams. The leaders of the league from now and then are coming to play on ESPN Thursday.
Second round action. Tyrell Biggs, Philadelphia, PA, and Teofilo Stevenson. And now in that first round, how did you see it?
I think Biggs was doing most of the work, landing most of the punches. I think you'd have to give him the round. He's able to stay away from Stevenson and still score effectively.
What do you have to do to beat Teofilo Stevenson? There are certain ways, obviously, to do it, even though his record against Americans is incredible. He's beaten all of them but one of them.
Well, I think that the way to beat him is to do what Biggs did in that first round. Use a lot of movement, stay busy, stay away from that right hand, and throw combinations. Stevenson, when he's hit with combinations, tends to get flustered and get into a defensive shell, and so he can't attack you.
That time, Tyrell Biggs landed a good left jab, but he didn't follow it up. So we'll see in the second round if Biggs can put some combinations together. Good uppercut by Teofilo Stevenson.
Biggs in the inside with Stevenson. And it's interesting here, you think that's not where you want to be with him. If you can fight well on the inside, it's a safe place because you can't hit you with that long right hand.
There's a right to the body.
Good body shot, and that, of course, is what gave Biggs such a problem the last time they fought.
Biggs is able to get the left jab, and he's not been throwing it that much. It's there for him if he goes after it.
Well, he used it in that first round pretty effectively, but he has not used this much in this round.
Good right hand by Biggs. Now he might have Stevenson hurt. He's got him against the ropes.
He stunned him with that right hand, and Stevenson in an unfamiliar pose against those ropes, getting hit with punches.
Boy, Biggs still leveling that left. Stevenson getting in some punches, though, as he moved right back at him. Sometimes when you're in trouble, Al, that might be the best defense, is moving right into a man, moving him back. And another good combination by Tyrell Biggs as he's putting some punches together in this second round.
He has to be very careful not to get careless with Stevenson. Even though he's hurt him, Stevenson remains dangerous, and Tyrell cannot get wild. He has to stay within what he's doing.
You know, the whole thing about Stevenson, though, it just seems like at any moment he's going to unleash that right hand.
You feel that you're waiting for that punch to come, and certainly Biggs is waiting for it.
Less than 30 seconds to go. Good right hand by Tyrell Biggs. Misses with a wild left. Stevenson just sticks the left out. He really doesn't put too much behind it. And Biggs came up with a left hand. It might have caught the chin of Stevenson because his legs wobbled just a bit. And that would have to be a good second round for Tyrell Biggs.
Extremely good. I think he's put two good rounds together. Round one, he danced, boxed, and in round two, a lot of power.
Tyrell Biggs, part of the Operation Gold, working out of Colorado Springs, but he's been coached by George Benton, who is a very fine trainer. Manuel Stewart over there on the left giving him some advice. And boy, there's a lot of water being thrown around in the corner of Teofilo Stevenson. You sense some urgency there. mentioned earlier, Stevenson not accustomed to doing anything but winning against Americans. You mentioned Craig Payne got him on points recently, but throughout his career, he has been dominant with American
He's beaten
heavyweights.
fighters like Michael Dokes, John Tate, Dwayne Bobbitt, Jimmy Clark, a fine fighter from the Florida area, although Clark gave him trouble. So he's beaten all the amateurs just about that we've thrown his way from the United States. And Tyrell Biggs, if he can have himself a good third round, might be the exception.
And it would certainly do a lot for Tyrell Biggs' hopes of being the super heavyweight in the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
Biggs starts out with 2 good jabs, a punch that, as you said, he didn't use as much in the second round.
What do you think Biggs' strategy ought to be in this round? Just to kind of stick and use that jab and try not to get hit?
Well, I would think that would be a good strategy, but he's got to use the right also. He's got to keep punching in combination.
Well, the crowd here in Reno really picking up the USA chant. Now, look at Biggs' move. Very stylish as he backpedals. That doesn't get you any points, and it doesn't really impress anybody, unless maybe you're trying to set something in the opponent's mind that your legs are fresh and you can still get up on your toes.
In that second round, Biggs showed a few signs of fatigue, and we'll have to look for that here in round 3. Sometimes there's been a problem for him. Now, Stevenson has not hit him to the body much, so that's a good sign, too, and it shouldn't wear Biggs out.
Biggs very stationary right now, and Stevenson moves in and throws a couple little right left jabs. And there, see, he looked for the right, and Biggs was able to slip it. Left jab got in by Biggs.
Stevenson unable
left jab.
Stevenson unable to unload that right. That's what he wants to do. He's still waiting. He may wait too long in this fight.
Biggs has Stevenson backed up now, and Stevenson able to get the left hand in. Really not a lot of force behind it. Stevenson just puts the left out there to let you know it's there. Kind of like the pitcher who uses the curveball once in a while to set up the fastball. And
good
fastball, yeah, good left hook, and a good right.
Yeah, I mean, Biggs came through with some big shots, and Stevenson, it kind of woke him up a little bit.
Stevenson now using the uppercuts. Both of these fighters puffing and huffing here in the third and final round, and Biggs once again lands that left as he's continued to use the left jab here in the third round to great success.
He's using the jab well, but he's dropping the left hand after he throws it, and that could be dangerous. Stevenson, of course, looking to unload the right over that jab.
Biggs looks very tired now as he's kind of leaning in and pushing Stevenson back against the ropes. And now Biggs goes down.
And that right looked extremely low. You can see where Biggs is holding himself. Uppercut by Stevenson, that looked very low. They're counting it a knockdown. And Biggs telling the referee, that was low.
Blood coming out of the nose of Tyrell Biggs. Now Stevenson really moves in and starts wailing away.
Well, that low blow, an apparent low blow, has turned things around for TPO Stevenson, but Biggs lands a couple of jabs in round 3, and this crowd is into this fight, that's for sure.
Crowd on their feet now in Reno, Nevada. Biggs continues to throw, but Stevenson has landed in the last minute and a half of this third and final round the more effective punches.
Now the question is, how much will that knockdown count as far as the judges are concerned? We thought that Biggs had very good rounds 1 and 2.
Solid right by Teofil Stevenson. Stevenson, a strong finish. We'll be back with the decision after this.
You know, the business world moves fast. I've found only one publication keeps pace with it every business day. Only this, the Wall Street Journal. Not weekly, not bi-weekly, today's business news today. So you can use it today.
Get all the business news you need when you need it. Get the Wall Street Journal, delivered for 6 months for $53. Phone toll-free 800-554-9000. That's 6 months, 53.
Weight bout between Tyrell Biggs and Teofil Stevenson. And now you got to figure this is going to be a close decision.
I think very close, but I would think Biggs might have the edge.
Let's find out.
Disappointment. You can see that frustration etched on his face. I really am surprised at the decision because Biggs, it appeared to me, certainly won those first 2 rounds, and even in the 3rd round when Stevenson knocked him down, Biggs had his moments. Tough decision for Tyrell Biggs to lose.
I think think that the last 30 seconds to the last minute of that fight probably left an impression in the minds of the judges.
Apparently it did, and apparently that knockdown may have come as a low blow. So we'll see. Maybe there's another day in the Olympics for Biggs and Stevenson.
So Cuba defeats the United States 8-4 in this dual meet from the Lawler Special Events Center in Reno, Nevada. For Al Bernstein, I'm Roger Twyville. Thanks for being with us.